The University of Kentucky's football program has seen a meteoric rise under head coach Mark Stoops since he took the job over a decade ago. With the expectations at an all-time high going into this season, there was a ton of pressure on the staff and the players to have a historic season. The preseason hype included many mock drafts having quarterback Will Levis as a consensus top 10 pick in the NFL draft. It also included UK signing their best recruiting class in school history, as well as bringing in former NFL offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach Rich Scangarello. Combine Will Levis's talent with Scangarello's ability to develop QBs, plus the litany of talent that the program brought in through recruiting in the transfer portal, and many people were certain that Kentucky's offense would be extremely formidable this year. Unfortunately, that has been far from the truth. Other than the Tennessee game, Kentucky's defense has been one of the best in the country. Despite injuries to major contributors like Jaquez Jones, Jalen Geiger, and DeAndre Square, Brad White's unit has done a fantastic job on the defensive end. However, the Wildcats' offensive unit has been the polar opposite. They have struggled to move the ball, and while Will Levis sat out the South Carolina game to nurse an injury, UK lost to a team they absolutely should not have. So what's the problem? With an uber-talented quarterback and a ton of weapons at wide receiver, not to mention one of the school's most decorated running backs of all time, Chris Rodriguez, why haven't we been able to put together a viable offense? The answer boils down to two things. Kentucky football's biggest issue this year is a combination of the worst offensive line play we've seen at UK in a very long time and Rich Scangarello's play calling. The offensive line has struggled all year long, and it's basically impossible to throw the football downfield. Will Levis has already been sacked more this year than all of last year, and we're only just over halfway through the season. The line doesn't protect long enough to allow routes to develop downfield, so there's basically no way to have a vertical pass game. The O-line has also struggled to open running lanes, so the ground aspect of the offense has been a bit stagnant as well. This was somewhat expected after losing Darian Kinnard, Luke Fortner, and Dare Rosenthal off that offensive line to the NFL, but the talent at the position group should be more than enough to have a formidable offensive line. Despite the poor play of the Big Blue Wall, Rich Scangarello's play calling has not helped the situation. Kentucky's offense has become extremely predictable and easy to decipher. The overuse of wide receiver screens has caused almost every screen play to get blown up and result in no yardage because the defense sees it coming. Chris Rodriguez has been seemingly underused and gets pulled out of the game in situations where he would be at his best. There was a play against Mississippi State where it was 4th and 1, and instead of running our bruiser running back up the middle where he is certain to gain the 1 yard that was needed, Rich Scangarello dialed up a screen pass which got intercepted and returned for a touchdown. It's almost as if Scangarello is entirely unaware of the personnel on the team. Many fans are calling for Scangarello to be fired already, just halfway through his first season at the school. In the worst offensive performance of the season, Kentucky put up a whopping 6 points against Tennessee. Scangarello clearly doesn't trust Will Levis to throw the ball, only dialing up screen passes and short yardage throws in this game against UT. Once again, Chris Rodriguez was grossly underused, although a minor injury could be the excuse for this particular game. As a whole, this season has been disappointing in comparison to the preseason expectations. A lot of the problems boil down to coaching rather than just player performance. Despite this, Kentucky still has the opportunity to finish with a solid record. If things go as expected, Kentucky will lose to Georgia but will beat Missouri, Vanderbilt, and Louisville to finish the season 8-4. With a win in a bowl game, finishing the year 9-4 would be a pretty solid outcome despite the struggles we've had, but that remains to be seen. Personally, after what I saw growing up as a Kentucky fan watching us go 2-10 every season, 9-4 would not be horrible at all.